Let's turn now to one of our most useful resources, datasheets. When a manufacturer makes a component, they usually also make available a datasheet for it, a user manual if you like. These contain vital information for the designer and are one of our first ports of call for information. To demonstrate this, I'll put a datasheet up on the screen as an example. Let's see what we can find out from it. Firstly, we have the physical dimensions and pin layout, called the pinout, of the component. This allows us to connect it correctly and to lay out the dimensions of our circuit board to the right sizes. Next, we have the minimum and maximum values. A good example of this might be the supply voltages, or perhaps the maximum and minimum input voltages. If we exceed these values, then the circuit may not work, or worse still, we may permanently damage it. The next section gives the electrical parameters of a device, often quoting them as a typical value and an absolute minimum and maximum. For example, if a circuit was an amplifier, they might quote the gain as 60 decibels with a minimum value of 55 and a maximum of 62. Or alternatively, a typical value plus or minus some other value. This type of information is also often presented in graphical format. Often there is also a section of supplementary information. This might, for example, contain details of the heat dissipation of a device and practical advice as to how it should be soldered and other similar sorts of information. Finally, many datasheets have a particularly interesting and important section at the back, which are typical application circuits. These show how the device is usually connected up in a variety of different applications. Sometimes this is published as a separate sheet called an application note. Such information is particularly important when we are using unusual devices which may be specific to a particular manufacturer. Although, as I've already explained, you should note that such devices might present an easy or elegant solution for your own design, but they are only useful as long as the manufacturer continues to make them. And manufacturers do stop producing designs if they are not selling well, or so on. So, there's something to be said for designing with simple standard components.